So I was watching part 3 of the Linus Tech Tips Linux Daily Driver Challenge today before kind of like going off and doing like package doorbell ditch. And basically one of the I decided I wanted to throw my hat into the ring since everyone else was doing it too, since Linux is just kind of the thing that I've been daily driving and getting used to. And where is it? There's kind of a part in here where Linus kind of mentions that, like, people complain that when it comes to being a new user to Linux, that new users coming from Windows expect to, like, do a Windows thing in it. And so it kind of came off the part of where they were, what was it? Believe compressing files or copying files, one of the two. And Linus, being in KDE, was using Dolphin, and Dolphin kind of like makes it a bit different to like mess with things that way. And part of that has to do with his choice of desktop environment that he picked in File Manager, but that's a whole other issue. But he made the complaint that he couldn't do like some of the like simple copy paste or access certain folders with root privilege. That's what it was. Accessing with root privilege or administrator privilege in Dolphin. Other file managers let you do that, but Dolphin doesn't for some reason. And someone else had made the same complaint and gotten berated over it. And the person made the point that it's like, I should be able to do what I want with my system. And he's right. So the fact that coming for someone that may be coming from Windows, they may be used to being able to do like, oh, let's just right click and run as administrator or do this, that, and the other, and it's really easy. And then some programs on Linux don't want to do that. And that's kind of the thing. And at the same time, that's where someone coming new to it's almost imperative on people to maybe help the person that's new to it to find another option that'll do what they want, because the options are out there. But the problem is they're not aware of it. So usually the functionality that they want in their system is available on Linux, or a lot of times is. And usually it's the program that they're using that lacks that functionality. So by having someone that can help guide them to something that allows them to do it, they can still do what they want to with their system. And that's why Linux is great, and because you have the freedom to do what you want with your system. It's just sometimes you have to do a little more footwork in it in order to get that freedom. And someone coming from Windows, they're still not quite used to all those options that you have, and it can be overwhelming. Which is why, as Linus mentions again in this video, that like those people that are helpful are great. They help guide you to like some of the things that'll be a little bit more helpful and make you aware of those things that maybe you aren't aware of. And I know for Linus, I believe at the start of it, he mentioned that he didn't want to go to guides or like advice from different people. And it's like, that's kind of part of the experience too, is like kind of like sifting around for help and asking for help, because it's finding those good eggs that will help you, that will actually help make your experience better and help you actually get into it quicker. And Linus is basically kind of taking the hard way into it. So the other thing too is you'll notice that the difference in experience is that Linus is using Manjaro and Luke is using Mint. So Mint is kind of built for that like first time Linux experience, that first timer, like I'm new to it and everything else. Manjaro's kind of there, but it's still kind of the middle ground between like very new and like you can dig deep into the advanced stuff. I know in my experience way back when, uh, the first experience that I had with like messing with Ubuntu was the Synaptic Package Manager, which was a graphical package manager, but you still had to sort through all these package names and whatnot, and it wasn't anything like what the software centers are now. And the software centers, for like someone that's new, are miles better than what Synaptic was and what was available back then. And for someone that's new that may be used to like, well, Windows now has like the App Store and Mac OS has had an App Store for a little bit. For someone coming from that, where like you have an App Store, that's really helpful and it helps people know what's available and sometimes what's not available. And sometimes it can be difficult to be like coming in and it's like, wait, I don't install it like I do on Windows? What? And that can be a little bit jarring, but at the same time, it's like, oh, so like this program that I install with like this .deb whatever package will automatically update with the rest of my system, and I don't have to think about it. That's nice. So you get some of those trade-offs, and I haven't really watched any of the other parts of this, but I would imagine parts 1 and 2 kind of talked about it. But yeah, you have options, and sometimes you have to do things kind of quirky, but Windows is the same way somewhat too sometimes. If you want to do something like you're setting up a new computer, you have to install drivers manually. What's nice about Linux is sometimes you can find those drivers in the repositories. Like if you run an NVIDIA graphics card, you can find the proprietary NVIDIA graphics drivers a lot of times in the repositories or in a place that's a little bit easier to access, depending on your distribution. And whereas Windows, you generally have to like go to a download page, or like you used to have to use a CD to install it, and those graphics drivers don't automatically install. And Linux is in such a state that sometimes the system will run out of the box because the drivers are in essence a part of the kernel. So it's really convenient in some ways like that. And with AMD graphics being open source, it makes it that much easier to deal with. So I think that was just about everything. I mean, yes, for the first little bit, you're going to be expecting to do the things that you want to, the same as you are with Windows. But as you get deeper into it, you start to get used to the funny quirks, and then you start to be able to like, okay, cross things over, and then you start to like go down the rabbit hole. So the rabbit hole's really deep and it's really fun, and that's where you get kind of like all the cool stuff that like people do with their system is like after they've gotten through like those first hurdles and like they get like really into it and like start to like optimize everything. So if you found this helpful, if you liked it, if you like agree, if you don't agree, if you hate it, whatever, comment, feed the algorithm, upcomies, that kind of a thing, and I'll see you guys later.